All right, so good to be here with you all. As you heard, Chad Williams, a former U.S. Navy SEAL, and I'm running along with the others on the HB3, which would be Don Kennedy here to my left, to your right, and Butch Twining. And so maybe just kind of a reminder for us all, like, why is it that we do what we do? Well, in our Constitution, the preamble says that we're securing the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. And so they were willing to pay the highest price possible for our freedom, not being free, paid for in the currency of their blood on the battlefield. I think at the very least we could put in a little perspiration, a little sweat out there today. And so I want to give you guys really just a common sense approach to how to share what A, B, and C are all about when you're out there on the streets. So just taking on this first one, A, voter ID. I remember the first time I voted in Huntington Beach, going to a poll, I was shocked as they asked for my name and my address, and that's all it took. I go to pull out my ID, and you would think I was undressing in front of the person because they're like, I don't want to see it. No, no, no. And I'm like, well, just out of curiosity, how do you stop somebody that has my name and my home address from voting in my place? Well, they said, well, they could go back and check out the signatures. Well, are they actually doing that, number one? Number two, my signature on my ID as a teenager looks absolutely nothing like my signature today. And so in order to stop that as a fail-safe, we are securing our election simply by requiring an ID. You require an ID to get decongested over at Rite Aid right now. At least we could do it for some democracy as well. And so this is treating the democracy, the republic we have, as precious. And so very common sense. And then also we'll be monitoring the poll boxes, the boxes that we have out there on the streets. Not a difficult thing to do. When it comes to Measure B, the city flag policy, what we're saying is, look, regardless of what city council majority we have moving forward, we don't want to play identity politics anymore. At government polls, government property, it is government flags. That's it. Because no matter what, if you favor some exclusive group, naturally, logically, you are excluding one other group. For any Christian out there, we pledge allegiance to the flag. We say one nation under God, and then what do you see under that flag is something that would be considered an abomination to God. And so we're not going to play the identity politics anymore. It's simply government flags at government polls. That's what B is all about. Coming to C, I think that's the one that has a little bit of questioning. It's multifaceted. There's three aspects to it. Well, that simply was to save money for the city. It easily could have been an A, B, C, D, and E. Every letter costs about $500,000. And so we're going to put a few of these together. Why didn't we put it with A? Why didn't we put it with B? Because both of those, voter ID, that's a standalone. We want that to stand alone. B, flag policy, that's a standalone as well. Well, by the law of averages, just doing the math, okay, on Measure C, we'll put these three together. So let me go over the three very briefly. Number one would be the mayor's ability to cancel a meeting if a meeting needs to be canceled because members of the council can't make it. As it is right now, they have to run around and gather signatures from every council member, so this simply streamlines the process. And it's still required at a minimum to have at least one meeting per month. If this mayor decided to go rogue and start canceling meetings left and right, well, all it takes is 4 council members to vote that mayor out and say, you're not the mayor anymore. And trust me, those of us that have voted those people into position, we would hold them accountable to that. And so there are fail-safes in place to keep the mayor from going rogue. It just simply streamlines the process. The other part of it is this 2-year budget. Maybe this is the thing that people will balk at you about. Well, let's just put it this way. There's virtually nothing, there is nothing I'm aware of that you could do with an annual budget that you cannot do with a biannual budget. But there are things you can do with a biannual budget that you cannot do with an annual budget. So it's all the benefit and some. And so having a 2-year budget simply gives our city an ability to come up with extended projects, maybe working in the parks, working on the pavements. You know the money's going to be there, not only for the year that they're working on it, but for the next year. Because just the way it is, the volatility, the way the world goes, maybe another COVID-19, maybe the money's not there anymore to finish this project that got started. And so just remember that line right there. There's nothing you can do with an annual budget you cannot do with a biannual budget, but there are things you can do with the biannual you cannot do with the annual. And nothing's etched in stone. If for some reason we need to go back and make adjustments, a mid-cycle adjustment, or even a month-to-month adjustment, the elasticity is there. And then really, the big issue with Measure C is what we have kind of phrased the Bolton Initiative. You all remember Tito Ortiz. He got more votes in our city than anyone ever has in the history. Unfortunately, he tapped out after a couple of months. And so he left a vacancy. There was a gap, and unfortunately it was filled by the council majority at that time by Rhonda Bolton. And she gets to fulfill the remainder of his term, all 4 years. And so consider this, 4 people decided for 200,000 people who's going to take that position. And so from now on, whenever there's a vacancy and somebody appointed to that position, what happens is in the next election cycle, happening every 2 years, it goes back to the people. So instead of those 4 people, we say it's we the people that either affirm the decision they made or we refute it and say we want somebody else. And so just remember, measures A, B, and C, we are yes on all of those. I hope I kind of gave you guys some ammunition. And just don't forget, hey, come November, we have a big opportunity to make a change for our nation. We have an opportunity to make a change for our city here in March. And at the end of the day, I would just suggest to you that woke agenda is going to be going. Amen? All right. Thank you guys for your time.